This is Randy again, and welcome back to Brain Break. I wanted to continue on with the story about my field sales days. Years and years ago, I used to sell water treatment chemistry, and this happened again in New Mexico. And we used a product called a polymer, and we would combine it with an inorganic like aluminum sulfate, polyaluminum chloride, and use that to create flock, which we could then filter out to get the dirty things out of drinking water. Now, the thing is you have to be careful with those products in that they can stick to the gills of fish and other aquatics, and so you can't use too much of them. And what I would do is go to a customer and set up a mini lab where I would use a gangster and it would have all of these jars stirring all at once, and I would create a mini water treatment plant and put the same dosage of what they were currently using versus things I was suggesting in the various jars. And then we would filter the water and see whose water was the cleanest and the clearest. And that's what I did for years, and I won an awful lot of business doing that. Luckily, I was representing a company that started the business and had some of the very best products. They're no longer in that business, so it's safe to tell you who they are without their permission. It was Calgon. And we always think of Calgon, take me away, which we don't even hear very often, but they're still in the business of manufacturing carbon and other things. But Calgon figured out an awful lot about water back in the day before they got purchased, and their name isn't as common as it once was. So anyway, while I was running these tests, I would also teach the employees the safety things they needed to know about it. One, this is a product that if you overused it and you made a mess, like say you spilled it on the floor, if you didn't know how to clean it up properly, it would be a mess forever and slippery. Whenever the water would get on that spill, it would be slippery till time ends. Unbelievable. And I would teach them how to properly clean up those things. I would teach them never to overuse it because it was hazardous to aquatic life. And the federal government actually has limits that you can use these products for, but they're awesome because what they'll do is they'll take things out of our drinking water that we cannot kill with chlorine and filter them out so that the water is safe for us. And so some people will say, oh, chemistry is bad and nasty. No, some chemicals are bad and nasty, but some of them make our lives very much better. And a polyacrylamide, a polymer, is one of those things. We call them polydadmax. And anyway, this one community had two water plants that I'd been to. They actually had a third, but I'd never been to it. And over Super Bowl weekend, an operator who didn't want to be working, and he wasn't part of my formal training, had the duty on Super Bowl weekend, and he really wanted to go home, and he kept getting to watch the game, and he kept getting alarms, and so he was running from his family and girlfriend and whatever to this plant and trying to reset things. Well, his idea of resetting things was just to turn the pump up, and that doesn't work. Rarely will I find anybody that's successful by just increasing the amount of cleaner you use. Then you've got product that doesn't wipe away very clearly or easily. And in this case, what he did was he put a lot of this polymer back in his backwash water, and that is what ended up drowning 4,000 fish. So on a Monday, I get a call, and it's from the plant, and they're saying, hey, we had a fish kill over the weekend. And I said, what? How's that possible? Because we'd never had one. We'd been working together for well over a year. And he said, I don't know. He says, any way you can come and help us figure it all out. And I said, yes, I'd be happy to do that. So I rearranged my schedule and went over, and they took me to this plant I'd never been to. It was rather small and only took care of a few people. But these fish that drowned, which sounds crazy to have a fish drown, but if it can't breathe, it's drowning. And they were native trout, so even worse. And I helped them figure out how much polymer had been used versus what should have been used based on their flows, because we feed this product as a small part per million, like a quarter of a part, a half a part, sometimes as much as three-fourths of a part per million. It doesn't take much. It's very, very strong. And this person had been feeding it in multiple parts, 10, 20, 50 parts per million. And so I wrote my reports, and I figured that was the end of it. But when this guy went in front of a judge, he said that I told him it was okay. And I didn't even know this guy. I'd never met him. He worked on the weekends. And so I had to make myself available to this judge and give a deposition and explain what was going on. And this gentleman ended up losing his ability to treat drinking water, but he also went to jail for a while. And when he got back out, he sued under the civil service regulations to get his job back. And he did get his job back, but never as a water treater. They let him read meters. And it was rather a scary time, but also one which helped me to understand how important the science of what I was doing was. And at some point, I probably will take some of these videos and specifically aim them towards water treatment and answer questions and teach people some of the things I've learned. Other things I'd like to talk about are my beard. I've learned an awful lot about beards and how to keep them growing, looking good. And I hope you think mine looks okay. But I started growing a beard, the weekend that the pandemic was notified. I said, well, if I'm not going to be able to see people, I might as well quit shaving. And because I've got sensitive skin underneath all this fur. So anyway, a couple thoughts, sort of things that I might share. I'd love your feedback on that. If you'd like information about either one of those things, I'm not an expert at home water treatment, but industrial or municipal water treatment and wastewater treatment. I spent a lifetime doing those things. And I know enough about water treatment to make sure I take care of my family at home, but I'm no expert. But I can get you answers if you need them. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to Brain Break with Randy and encourage you to like and to subscribe. And please tell your friends about me too. I hope you're having a great day.